Good morning, everybody. We hump day edition of Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rantz alongside Tommy Krysan. TK joining us today over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I'm in the land of the lake, Lake Chuck, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Hope everybody's having a good one. All right, Tommy. Super Bowl week, Hall of Fame week tomorrow. Tomorrow sometime we're going to find out about the Hall of Fame class. We know Bill Belichick won't be in it. That's been controversial ever since we found that out a week or so ago. Um, but a guy who is expected to be in it is Drew Brees, New Orleans Saints legend, Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer. Drew Brees. I mean, nothing. Lightning's not going to strike twice, right, Tommy? I mean, like, there's no chance that Drew Brees isn't going to be in the Hall of Fame in the first ballot. I mean, Bill Belichick should have been probably over Drew Brees, greatest coach ever. He didn't get in, so I guess we have to prepare ourselves for a potential shocker.
Well, Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, was snubbed as well. So something's going on in the air up there. I don't know. I mean, if Drew Brees is not in, regardless if he pulled a no-show in Natchitoches, if he's not in, that there's something wrong, and the whole system needs to be totally deleted and a new one built ASAP.
Yeah, it's sort of a shame because I mean, as you mentioned, the no show in Natchitoches, should have put that on a T-shirt. But obviously I have a bitter taste in my mouth. That's not for a surprise. As the president of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the
Right.
CEO of the Hall of Fame Foundation, if we tell you. We call you in July and tell you you're going to be in the Hall of Fame next June, and you never cooperate and you no show. Obviously, I'm going to be bitter. It's a shame because this could have been a fun time for us. It could have been a fun time for me personally. Could have been a fun time for everybody in the Hall of Fame involved to celebrate Drew and all this stuff. But instead, it's kind of like, hey, Drew's going in the Hall of Fame. Great. And obviously, he's not going to not show up in Canton, but. Obviously, he deserves to be in every Hall of Fame that there is. He kind of got a second lease on life a little bit on the broadcasting thing with the demise of um, Sanchez and his weird behavior and being arrested and all that. They brought Drew off the bench and let him pinch hit the last couple games, I think, of the season. And so maybe that sort of jump started him to get back as a color analyst in the NFL after his failed attempt on NBC his first year out. But look, if anybody deserves to be, and Sean Payton talked about Drew this week, that there's been a lot of players have talked about Drew this week in preparation for his being selected into the Hall of Fame, which is expected tomorrow. He mentions the famous story of his not his rookie year, but his first year with the Saints in 2006, which of all the stories out there about Drew, may be my most favorite. And that is the Saints had an off week in 2006, a bye week. And Sean Payton is up on a Sunday when they would have been playing, but everybody was off. Everybody had gone home. Sean Payton was like leaving the office or had gone by the office or something like that. And he looks out on the field, far away, and he sees a person on the field, and as he moves closer, he realizes it's Drew. And he walks up to Drew, and Drew's like on the field, has a football in the hand, and he's just basically doing reps, but without any teammates, right? He's mental, visual reps where he's dropping back the pass and scrambling around and acting like he's throwing the ball, whatever. And he's doing play after play after play. And Sean Payton makes his way over to Drew and he says, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I'm going through my progressions. I'm going through every part of the field where I don't want to mess up my routine. I want to keep my routine in check like I would every Sunday." And Sean Payton asks him, "Well, so I'm going through the game." He goes, "Well, are we winning?"
I
And Drew
like
says,
that.
"Yeah." Jerry says, "Yeah, we're winning." He's okay, well, good. And he left. And he went home. But that just shows you, Sean Payton said that Drew is the type of guy that, he would compete with you on a $5 bet. Playing a game, and he would argue with you to win for 2 weeks over a $5 bet. He just wanted to win. He was the ultimate winner, and obviously the Saints won a lot when Drew Brees and Sean Payton were both in New Orleans, and it's sort of like the Patriots were with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. When it ended and they left, people thought, well, that's it. End of an era. What a great 20 years we had, and that's it. Never going to happen again. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, they're in the Super Bowl with another quarterback and another coach, and maybe they can start up another run. But the Saints fans feel like New England did maybe the last 4 years, where man, those were the good old days. We're never going to have that again, and who knows? Maybe the Saints of 26 or 27 can be like the Patriots were.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you never know in today's world. I mean, you line up and play for a reason. You know, Ronnie, when you make those comments about Drew Brees, when you look at the elite of the elite athletes, coaches, they all have that DNA in them, you know, of the competitiveness and the relentless work and the tireless viewing of tape or whatever it may be. We saw on Netflix with the quarterback show the weight room that them guys were in and the work they were doing in the off season and but and that's what it takes to be the elite of the elite. And it's no strange thing to see that it occurs so much on with those who have reached that status based on most people's opinion.
Speaking of the NFL, Tommy, the couple of news notes in the
Yeah,
last
and I
week.
got some. Yeah, go ahead.
So the NFL Players Association has come out publicly and said we do not want an 18th game. There's been a lot of discussion. Obviously, the league went from 16 to 17 games a few seasons ago. Now there's talk of potentially going to 18 games, to go cutting back on the preseason games even more. And the Players Association saying, "Nah, we're not, we don't want that at all." And where I didn't think going from 16 to 17, the Players Association would be able to stop that. I thought that was inevitable. Cut back the preseason. There probably was too many preseason games anyway. I don't think that they're going to be able to shove this one down the players' throats. I do think 17 is going to stick either forever or for a very long time.
Well, and here's the other thing. I've read some stuff where the players want four additional roster spots if you go to 18. They also want to have two buys during the course of the 18-week game schedule, and and then assure that everybody's going to play one overseas game, so that somebody having an advantage and not having to travel. Now that sounds like you could work that out because I mean, remember back after 9/11, they moved the Super Bowl by a week in New Orleans of all places had to cancel untold things. So anything can happen, but based on what I've read and seen, and then Goodell trying to downplay it, kind of tells me you're right. It's going to be 17 for a while, if not forever.
The things you just talked about, the four roster spots. I mean, okay, how bad do you want it, owners? Right, four roster spots. I don't even know. I'd have to Google. Tommy, why don't you Google and see what the average NFL salary is? You
Well,
know,
the minimum's 880,000,
okay,
so it's a
so
so it's a
so obviously
minimum
you're
of 4 million more minimum.
right. So I mean, your roster spots, if they're the four extra, going to be probably the four lowest. So yeah, you're right, $4 million. But the overseas portion, that's 16 games if that you'd be playing overseas. 16. Some cities would be multiple games. Like they don't play 16 games overseas right now. I'm thinking they play four maybe or something like that.
8.
Um, is it eight? Is it that many
It's going to
now?
be 8 this season, and
Okay,
of course, the Saints will play for the first time ever. The Saints will play in Paris, and
Paris.
I have a comment on that.
Yeah,
You ready for my
I'm
comment on
buying.
that? I know you're
I'm
going right.
I'm buying my beret this week, Coach. I'm gonna get the beret. I'm gonna get the ascot, the whole thing. I'm getting ready. But October
Well, how about
25th.
this though, Ronnie? How about the NFL fans in Paris? Okay, let's look at it this way. They might know a little bit about the NFL. Some may know a lot, because everything's on the internet. But then they say, "Ooh, we get an NFL game. Wait, we get the Browns and the Saints. What was their record last year? Can we maybe get a good team now? And both
Well,
teams might be good
I
next year."
actually think Paris is probably okay with the Saints because Paris has been sort of the the
Well,
the the overseas hub home for the Saints, and obviously the tie with the Florida Lee and history of the country and the state and the whole nine yards. I think the Saints, and then the Saints have a little minor league team over there that Jack Del Rio sort of coaches or whatever. So I think the Saints part makes a lot of sense and is fine. But you're right, the Browns. Now, from a fan standpoint who knows football, Shador Sanders versus Tyler Shuck is exciting. You know what I mean? Like but assuming that Shador Sanders is the guy, and you would think that he's going to be the guy at least to start the season. So I'm looking forward to that, for that particular storyline. The Browns have a new head coach. Um, but yeah, it's definitely not the sexiest matchup, and that's sort of been the way it's been. If you don't have great years, you're up for being shipped overseas for a game. But going to 8 games this year, that's a lot. And the idea that they would double that, I the expense, the logistical nightmare, and everything. Plus, from the NFL standpoint, if you had 16 games overseas, you're going to have some duds. You're going to be in some markets where maybe it's not going to work. And so you're going to have some expense. You might lose a couple bucks in some of the markets. And oh, by the way, you got to spend at least 4 million more to add 4 roster spots and all that kind of stuff. So I think like I said, I'll stand by what I said. I think it's going to be 17 games for quite a while, before things jump to 18. Remember, it was 16 games for many decades before it changed to 17.
Well, and the Saints have a marketing agreement with France. Okay, so that's another element in this thing. And Saints season ticket holders are going to get a credit on their bill because there's going to be one less game that they have allegedly paid for or were scheduled to pay for. So, you got to work out those things will get handled by the people that need to handle
The other thing is the Pro Bowl. The
them. Oh
Pro
God.
Bowl. What a like! Please stop with this Pro Bowl. I, Nobody wants to play in it. Go to all the little festival events. They had the flag football game last night. Jamar Chase made an unbelievable one-handed catch on defense, and took it back to the house. Where he reached down one-handed and picked the ball about 2 feet off the ground and took it the other way. But I mean, this thing, Tommy. To me, I don't even understand. It's got to be losing money, right? I mean, it's got to be losing money. You're paying for these NFL players to be there and to do this Pro Bowl and these different gimmicks. You got to be paying them a lot of money. I know you're getting some TV revenue and all that. I just don't. This is just brutal. And oh, by the way, no one wants to play Justin Fields. Justin Fields, the quarterback of the Jets, who was terrible this year, lost his job at the end. They've moved on from him. He ended up at the Pro Bowl because down the line, no hurt, no, needed somebody. Justin Fields ended up in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
Like, what are we
well,
doing?
I would tell you this. I'd rather watch paint dry than watch the Pro Bowl. Okay, I'm just telling you, it's lost any glitter that it used to have. And we've said this before, Ronnie. Back in the 80s and 90s, when you went to the Pro Bowl and you got that check for whatever grand it was, that was a big percent of what you made back then. So you were going to go. Okay. Now they make so much money, they don't care about that other check. They can figure out a way to replace that some other way. So yeah, the Pro Bowl, all good things come to an end, right? I mean, cassette tapes were a good idea at one time. Now they're not. DVDs were a good idea at one time. When's the last time anybody played a DVD or a CD? Okay, so get rid of the Pro Bowl. There might be a sprinkling of players who have something in their contract that if they're named to the Pro Bowl, there's a bonus, and you can move away from that. You can give them a bonus for doing something else. I don't know. It can be figured out, but it's a waste of time and it's quite embarrassing in my mind, especially the last couple of years they played that game when it was basically a touch football game, but they had the full gear, and they acted like they cared. It was a total joke. So what they're doing now is probably better than that. Although I didn't watch, and I'm not going to watch, but nah, it's a farce of what once was the Pro Bowl.
Look, and I understand. It's nobody's fault that the NFL Pro Bowl has become the worst of the All Star games. Major League Baseball by far is the best one because it's the only sport where you can play 100% like normal. These guys when they pitch in the All Star game, they're trying to throw as hard as they can. They're trying to hit a home run. They're trying to slide and run as fast as they can. They're playing it like it's a real game. In NBA, there's no defense whatsoever. In the NHL, same kind of thing. It's just no defense. It's not the same game. The Major League Baseball is the best game. It's not even close. But the NFL, man, if you're over the age of 30, you're nostalgic, or for sure, if you're over the age of 40, you're nostalgic to the days of the when they would go to Hawaii. It was a big deal to go to Hawaii, and you got to take the trip. Got to bring your family. You got a paycheck. And it was awesome to, especially when the Saints weren't very good, and then they started to get good in the late '80s, and it was always so fun to see the Florida League uniform, above the blue NFC jerseys, and those days are gone, and now it's meaningless. And I understand when the salary started getting so high, Tommy. I mean, it used to be that, hey, if you lost the Pro Bowl game, you got 30 grand. If you won it, you got 60 grand or whatever. And like, this was back when game checks were that or less. So it was you got an extra game check, or you got a bigger game check maybe than maybe you were making. So it made sense. Um, but then once the salaries became so big, it's like, well, one, I don't want to go risk injury to go make $50,000 or $100,000 when I'm making a $500,000 a game or whatever. It's just, it wasn't worth the injury. And oh, by the way, and then I remember hearing players talking about how, hey, great, I made the Pro Bowl. Now I get to lose money because, yeah, they gave me $50,000, but I got to bring grandma, grandpa, Mimi, my daughter, Ray, all these people. I got to fly them, put them up in a hotel, feed them. Like, the trip's going to cost me $100,000, and I'm not even going to make that. So that it's natural why the Pro Bowl went away. It just needs to all go away. Kind of like what the TCL did, the Texas Collegiate League, right? Where Lake Charles Gumbo Gators and the Baton Rouge Rougarou play. We don't have an all-star game anymore. We announce an all-star team halfway through the season. We announce who the players of the first half are, and we announce who our players of the year are at the end of the season. But we don't have an all-star game because it became something that people didn't really want to do. I'd rather have a couple days off in the middle of a busy summer versus
And
or start the season later or something versus I got to drive 6 hours to a town, play a game, drive back, and so we started getting the fourth best catcher in the league instead of the top three catchers, and it started to become a farce. So we made the
yeah,
decision to, hey, not have an all-star game, and I think that's what the NFL has to do.
yeah, I think that was a good decision. Ronnie, we have a question from one of our big time viewers. Is that a Masters green jacket you have on?
Well, if I was in Baton Rouge, it would be a Rougarou green jacket. That would be lined with Baton Rouge Rougarou logos and stuff on the inside. Instead, if you see the dark purple, I'm in Lake Charles, so it's a Gumbo Gators green jacket, and on the inside of this suit, it's got all kind of Gumbo Gators logos and stuff like that. So I have two
Okay.
identical green suits. One that I wear with a black button down. I'm in Baton Rouge and I'm doing speeches or talking to classes or whatever. Over there in Lake Charles, it's the opposite. It's purple. But I stole the idea, sort of big toe in the water, from the owner of the Savannah Bananas, who always wears a yellow suit and yellow top hat whenever he goes and speaks. Didn't commit to the top hat, Tommy, although maybe I should to cover up the bald spot. But I do the green suits when I'm sort of making public appearances, whether I'm speaking at events or making some sort of public appearance where it kind of makes sense. It's good marketing. People, why you have the green suit on, or they go, oh yeah, Rougarou, and so it helps market, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, and I want you to figure out how many square feet of closet space you have. I mean, I've been to your home, but I've never been by the closets area. I want to know. I mean, you got to have the biggest closets in America.
I actually am due for a purge, Tommy. I'm due for a purge. I saw something on social media the other day, some sort of little video, and it showed a golfer, and it had, like, the golfer saying, "Oh, I only wear, these three golf shirts all the time, but I can't get rid of these," and it shows like a closet full of golf shirts, and that's how I am. I have trouble throwing away or getting rid of uh clothes that are, in good shape, like something that, like, I mean, it'd be one thing if it was beat up or, had a hole in it or was
Faded or
ripped or,
faded or
yeah, it was,
whatever.
or a stain that you can't get out or whatever. Like, that's fine. But when you got a perfectly good shirt that you might have wore three times, but unfortunately now it's your 25th favorite polo. I'm a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to that, Tommy. And the problem is that there's not a lot of 2X homeless guys walking around, like it's I give my good stuff to St. Vincent de Paul, and then I'd love to know where it goes, because
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of 2 and 3X guys walking around the streets of any city.
All right, well, I got to do a purge as well. I actually thought of that the other day when I stepped in my closet. I looked around and go, there's some stuff I forgot I had. I was looking for a particular shirt, and then I said, I forgot I had these two shirts. Well,
Yeah, no, I
that's
need to do
coming
it.
soon. Yeah, that's coming soon. Hey, quick programming though. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of Sports Shorts Daily because I got to attend a funeral Friday, and then Sports Shorts Radio Saturday. It'll be there getting you all ready for the Super Bowl from Fat Daddy's and Plaquemine.
All right, we'll see everybody back tomorrow morning. TK, tell us about Tremonti's as we get out of here on this Hump Day edition.
All right, of course, it's a Wednesday. That means $6.99 for burger and fries at Tremonti's. You can dine in or you can get it to go. Stop by Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge. Catering's available. You can order online at tremontis.com. Crawfish coming very soon. Got that cold snap hopefully out of the way. Hopefully, we don't get another one of those. But crawfish are coming soon at Tremonti's. They're some of the best in the business. Hey, don't forget to like and share this show, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X. That helps everything. And look, we got a new thing going on. We put up clips from the show on the Sports Shorts Daily YouTube channel and the Tommy Krysan YouTube channel later in the day, little short versions of things that come out of this show. Be looking for that at YouTube. Check it out. We appreciate it. On behalf of Ronnie Rantz, I'm Tommy Krysan. Have a nice Wednesday, everyone, and we're back tomorrow with a Thursday episode of Sports Shorts Daily.